really it's the places that elk hunting or hunting can take you for me.
Yeah.
And then you get to see who you are as well. Like, cause it puts a mirror up to you. Cause you and I can hang out and barbecue and, kick it down or even do a run, but you spend 3, 4, 5, 7 days in a teepee with a dude, and maybe you don't see the sun light in 3, 4, 5, 7 days, right? And you're still out there. You get to learn a lot about a dude, and that's where you keep getting invited to hunt with me, because it's like, hey, T might not know what he's doing, but he adds a value on, this idea that's really opened a lot of doors in my life is kind of chop wood, carry water mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, maybe I don't know how to bugle, or I don't know how to, find elk. It's like, that's okay. Do you know how to chop wood?
Yep.
Do you know how to carry water? Okay, add value there.
Yeah.
And you can apply that across all spectrums. And, just being out here, that's really in my, since I moved to Colorado, and even before that, growing up in rural Iowa, that was like the mentality. It's like, I learned that from my parents, grandparents. That mentality of small town Iowa has really opened up almost every door in my life.
Robin Hood and Little John are walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other one has to say.
All right, welcome back to the RuckList podcast. Looks a little different this time. There's no big guy sitting here, but he's out slacking on spring break right now, doing a little cruise, and I think having a good time. Saw a picture of him and Logie catching a fish together. Not sure where at, but hopefully excited for that story. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna try here in studio with just me kind of running this boat and see how it goes. And so today I brought in someone that would help me be a little comfortable doing this. One of my best friends, just real ride or die in life, in the last 10 plus years now.
Yeah, man. 13 years.
Yeah. So bring in my buddy Joel Guthrie.
Yeah, thanks for having me in, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for joining. You've been helping out a lot with RuckList stuff. Just kind of giving your thoughts and ideas and using gear. And you're probably, out of my close friends, one who spends the most time in the woods, most time on trails. Kind of just doing the thing on the daily. And so, you kind of just fit in right into that world of RuckList.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey, I have pretty much just been copying, following, riding coattails. Since I moved out from Iowa, met the Trainer brothers, and they were going elk hunting. I was like, that's what I want to do, growing up whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
Really haven't missed it that much. Sitting in a tree stand 13 hours a day, waiting for that one deer.
Yeah.
The mountains are, they give you an opportunity to see what you're made of, right? But yeah, it's been, and then on the business side too, like riding those coattails,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, been a part of the circus, kind of ever since you moved out here, right?
Yeah, really. I moved out September of 2013 and pretty much met Brian and Adam, and they were like lining us out on a flip, and they're like, we're leaving for 2 weeks. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we got to carry these 90-pound packs up a mountain. I was like, cool.
When do I get to start doing that with you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one too. It's like, because I'm not a real like, hey, I deserve, like, invite me along on this stuff. It's like, I'm more of like, how do I earn that opportunity to go? And, when it came 2 years later in 2015, Brian was like, hey, you can come up scouting. And then in that same year, they like gave me a grocery list to bring up to them because they, were feeling the burn of being out there for 8-9 days.
Yeah.
So they gave me like a packing list of pizzas and burritos and cigars and tobacco. Stuff to pack up to them. So, and then, never really turned back from there. Right.
Yeah. Then kind of turned into what your biggest passion, right? I mean, kind of that big driving force,
Man, yeah.
especially through those 20s. And
Yeah, I gave a lot of purpose there. I think elk hunting is kind of a conduit that drives a lot of things in my life, right?
okay.
My goals have pretty much been the same since, like the last 10 years. 2016 was a very pivotal year in my life. A big shift of like from being a boy into manhood almost, and just like, okay, now we got to really start making some moves. And that's really only come from, your family, right?
Yeah.
The trainer family, of just being surrounded by those big guys.
Yeah.
Metaphorically and physically, but going, hey, this is, buying a house, going into business, and then elk hunting. But if you want to succeed at that, it's like, okay, if you want to shoot a bull elk with your bow, like you gotta be squared away in your work life, right? It's like, okay, there's goals there. You gotta be squared away in your marriage, right? Okay, there's goals there. You gotta be squared away at your physical level, right? And then shooting. And so like all to a singular goal of wanting to arrow a bull elk, right?
Yep.
And now, kind of you've been hunting with me. It's like, are we chasing the bull elk just to chase that thing? Or like, should we take a pause and look around and like, dude, we just climbed, 3,000 vertical feet. We're sitting at 12,000 feet up in the Rockies, watching a sunrise, watching a sunset. And at the end of the day, it's like, that's where it's at. And it's with bow in hand can take you some pretty special places. And then the ultra world too.
Yep.
Can take you some fun places.
That's taking us some places.
But there's always a barrier of entry.
Yeah. Yeah. The elk hunting this year, we had a pretty good trip together. That didn't end with success and a harvest, but, I think we really got to break down kind of that mentality. With this year for me was a real big monkey on the back of trying to find some success. And, we got to go up last week, of the season. And, that trip really helped with like some perspective of just like, we got to enjoy these moments while we're here, right? We're in these places that are really epic and only a few people are getting in there, or more, but it's not the majority of people you're talking to on a daily basis that are just ultimately getting to use their eyes to see these sights and scenes and,
Right.
And then enjoy that calmness, putting the phone down, not having service, and then having that time together, right?
Mm-hmm.
We spend quite a bit of time together, but we don't spend hardly any time just hanging out. We never just, it's been a long time since we've even just barbecued or, hung out like that. And so those moments are even more special with those close friends, right? I'm eager for this year, but it was a lot of soul searching and like what are we doing up here? And
that like defining success, right? Man, your journey with bow hunting, like getting out of the Army and picking it up from, because I grew up hunting, right?
Yeah.
So I always had a dad, chewing my ass because I was dragging my feet.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not like 4-6 years old, right?
Yeah.
I shot my first whitetail when I was 11.
Yeah.
But the perspective of being, mid 20s or 30s and just jumping into a sport or a hobby or, an endeavor like bow hunting, and then going, hey, we're going to go 8 miles back.
Yeah.
Right. And then we're going to try and sneak up with these things with a sharp stick.
Yeah.
On their level is another game, right?
Yeah.
Whitetail, you can get elevated. You can use some tactics there. You can do the same with elk, but depends on how you want to hunt them. But man, I've always had those things ingrained in my life. It's like Fred Bear's 10 rules, right? It's like you don't step over something you can step around, and like make sure you have the wind, and those things have always kind of been. It's like second nature to me. Whereas you go, hey, when I watch you, I'm watching how you walk through the woods, and I go, what are you even looking at? Like, it's like, dude, and I don't even notice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, well, now we have to circle 2 miles around this bull to get the thermals and wind right. because where he's going. And it's like that stuff, not that I don't have to think about it, but it just comes more naturally. And man, you're always refining it. So it's good to go with someone new too.
Yeah.
Go, oh, now I have to teach this, or I have to think about it. And it's like, and then you get sharper with it too.
Yeah. Running that
so
processes, and
that's super fun.
Yeah. That this year it was like, I just need to be a better woodsman, right? That's kind of the mission. It's like, and that's one of those pieces, especially with talking to a lot of people, throughout this journey of the podcast is all journeys start at when they start, right? But there is that level of just spending time in the woods, understanding, I shot prairie dogs, growing up, and that was the extent of it.
But like back on that thread of like success, when you say, but man, you had some encounters this year, right?
Yeah.
And you were drawn back.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like,
and that success, I think, tied to like just kind of being that woodsman, right? Being very aware of my surroundings, what I'm doing, where I'm going, where I'm sitting, why I'm doing this, which was really fun. And then ultimately did find me success, right? I had the most opportunity this year to put an arrow in an elk, and it didn't happen, but there's pure joy in myself right now just thinking about, man, I was right there. Yep. I was drawn back.
Yep.
I made the decision to not let an arrow fly, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can, sleep easy on that, because, man, I can tell you from experience, there's not much worse feeling than, rushing a shot or hitting an animal bad, shouldering an animal, or gut shot, and you lose them.
Yeah.
I heard this quote. It's like, in life, we got to choose our regrets.
Okay.
And it's like, you can pull the thread on that with anything. It's like, okay, I regret, not pulling the release on that bull or that animal. And it's like, or you might regret letting that thing fly because you had to rush it in a window, right?
Yep.
But yeah, man, like watching your journey, and you know me well enough, I get tied up in that a lot. Like we had that, I get pretty down on myself when, you set a goal of like arrowing a bull, and then you don't achieve that. And then you get on, social media, and you see all the bulls hitting the ground.
Yep.
I think the important thing to see with that is like, okay, what's beyond the lens there? And are they out doing it the same way?
Yep.
That you're doing it? And no matter where, who, or what, to do that is it's hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard to do no matter where. It's a wild animal. But, comparing yourself to that person, or, they've been doing it for longer than we've been alive.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I'll see you when I'm, give me 20 years. Give me 20 years, and then we'll start to compare maybe. But that's something I'm working on personally, is just like not comparing.
Yeah. I mean, what do they say? The common thing is comparison is that thief of joy, right? And it's like that 20-year buildup to get to that best version of you, or continuing to build to that best version of you, man, is a very long road if there's no joy in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like,
what are you finding out of that?
Getting to that place. Yeah.
What are you finding out of that? Like carrying a bow around.
Yeah.
Because you do a lot of solo.
Yeah.
Like going bombing, kind of the Tyrel way.
Yeah.
Like
down and dirty. We're packing 3 hours before. And
it's either going to be a good time or a good story.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Bombing. And that's how you like to hunt though, right?
Yeah. I found a lot of joy in that last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you finding on that, like, success side? Like, is that fulfilling, or do you want to be out there for?
I think I've enjoyed it over the last couple of years, because without, harvesting and finding success in a harvest, I do find joy in this, like feeling like I succeeded in making my own decisions now. And kind of like, I plan to be here at this time, whether it's a 24-hour window that I'm going to be actually hunting, and, a night in there. But it's like, I have these small windows. I'm going to get to these spots. I believe in it. My research and my intuition tells me to be here. And so that's been kind of fun. And then finding like, okay, there's elk here. Finding elk on my own has been one of the, just finding elk is.
Yeah.
a huge piece of why I keep doing that now is just, and I don't want to take away from hunting with people. But I do feel behind a power curve a little bit too. So it's like, okay, I need to just be doing this as much as I can. And so in this season, I have a 2-day window here. I have a 3-day window here and a 2-day window here.
Sure.
And then I have this week blocked out to, hunt with somebody so I don't know how if I'll continue to kind of keep going down that route. But there's an adventure piece to it of driving all night and hitting a trailhead at 2:30 in the morning and, getting right where you want to be before light. And I'm not an early person, so that's a win right there. So
we struggle with that. Yeah. And that, like, solo, I hunted with, Jay and Brian and Adam have been huge mentors of just that, taking that learning curve off when I first started. Watching Jay, how he moved through the woods, because that old fucker's been coming out, he killed his first bull in like 95 or 96.
Yeah.
So just the amount of knowledge that he already has, it's like, you got to be humble and go, okay, what can I learn from this? What I've been doing, I started hunting with them in 2016, so 10 years, is going, and that's with anyone, even on social media, right? Of watching Corey Jacobson or Adam Greentreat or Cam Haynes or Remy Warren and going, man, let's just take a little piece of them, put it in my toolbox. I'm going to put my spin on it, right?
Yep.
With my mentality of how I do things and then the endurance side of what we train for.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I take all that and then apply it to how I like to hunt, right? I'm going to go a little bit higher or even to a harder spot. Maybe it's not far in, but maybe it's 3 miles, but it's a hellhole of 3 miles.
Yeah.
And then let's apply what, Jay or some of these other people have done and let's put our own spin on it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's been really fun. Because I kind of broken away from those guys. They still go on their yearly hunts. But man, it doesn't take, I'm not great at math, but when you got 5 guys in camp with 5 tags and we go, hey, we all want to kill an elk this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's our goal, then maybe we got to take different approaches to this.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. And, I got a real good buddy, Pat, that comes out from Iowa, and he's either really tough or dumb, but for following me in, but we've kind of forged our own path and how we do stuff.
Yeah.
And going into new areas too, and just kind of throwing I do a lot of e-scouting. And then boots on the ground scouting too. Get out 2-3 trips a summer and spend some time out there, just see how those animals move. The shitty thing about elk is like, what did we see? 32 bulls last July. And then we went in there this September. Nothing. Nada. Like across the other side of the mountain. And they're like, partying with the cows over there.
Yep.
And so you got to keep that in mind. But if you can time it right, then the party's on. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest thing that, like, especially doing the podcast and talking to these people and, once you kind of drug me into this and I was in the Army at the time and away for a few months of having a lot of free time. And, so it was just every podcast, every video, everything that I could consume, and really fell in love with the people, but understanding that, you're going to have to put your own spin on that. And, I have no idea where I'm going with this.
You can, cause you can't replicate what someone else does. Like, Remy, I look up to him. I've never even met him, but like just a stone cold killer. Right. But you like take some stuff from him, or you guys have had Sean Melland on. Yeah. You go, okay, this dude's killed how many bulls over how many inches, whatever. Okay. I've never met him, but let's try to take something from him. Right. And then getting the privilege to meet that guy actually. You know? And then putting your spin on it. Right. But I think you have to define, when I take new guys out now, I go, hey, you're going to tell me what you want out of this hunt. Right. And it's always, hey, I want to kill a bull. And I'm like, okay, let's start smaller. Like, I just want to hear a bugle, right?
Yeah.
I can do that for you, right?
Yeah.
And that's realistic, right? Because if it's like, yeah, I want to kill an animal or harvest a bull, it's like, okay, well, let's look at rifle, right? If that's your true, and then even then we can do it hard too.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part. Is like,
Yeah.
people think rifle hunting it can be super easy. It's like, yeah, you can do it, but how about you grab a 30-30 lever action open sights,
Yeah.
and then let's go 10 miles back too. And so just putting your own spin on it. And that's where, you get creative and you put your own imagination. Really, it's the places that elk hunting or hunting can take you for me.
Yeah.
And then you get to see who you are as well. Like, because it puts a mirror up to you. Because you and I can hang out and barbecue and, kick it down or even do a run. But you spend 3, 4, 5, 7 days in a teepee with a dude, and maybe you don't see the sunlight in 3, 4, 5, 7 days, right? And you're still out there. You get to learn a lot about a dude, and that's where you keep getting invited to hunt with me, because it's like, hey, T might not know what he's doing, but he adds a value on, this idea that's really opened a lot of doors in my life is kind of chop wood, carry water mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, maybe I don't know how to bugle, or I don't know how to, find elk. It's like, that's okay. Do you know how to chop wood?
Yep.
Do you know how to carry water? Okay. Add value there.
Yeah.
And you can apply that across all spectrums. And, just being out here, that's really in my, since I moved to Colorado, and even before that, growing up in rural Iowa, that was like the mentality. It's like, I learned that from my parents, grandparents. That mentality of small town Iowa has really opened up almost every door in my life, honestly,
Yeah. I mean, it's such a big piece of being willing to be humble, and then, figure out where you can put effort in to contribute to that team. Right. And it's as simple as like, okay, you go get water from here. I can fill this bag up.
Yeah.
And I can always make sure we have some water.
Man, it's so simple, but it's not easy, because it's like, to me, it's as simple as that. But some guys just don't have that lens.
Yeah.
And that, not even hunting, but just like, B talks about, well, if you want to sit at the table, like you gotta contribute to that table, like be a man or be a woman that earns a spot there too.
Yeah.
And so it's not just on the hunting side, but okay, how do you, I measure it like asset or liability. You're either a stud or a dud, right?
Yep.
And so how do you just add value to the situation, right? Whatever it is, it's, and that's a personal thing for me. That drives me a lot, is just, I want to be there for people. And just be an asset. Like, you call me, I'm there, right? The thing I'm trying to learn is not robbing that from other people, because a fault of mine is going, hey, I'm good.
Yeah.
I got 2 tons of rock to spread this weekend. I'm not going to call anyone to do it. And now I'm robbing someone of that. Our buddy Armstrong pointed that out to me. He's like, well, because I'll be the first one to answer if you need a flat tire. I'll be the last one to call if I have the flat tire and I need T to come, because it's like, I don't want to burden you with that. And so making that change, right, personally. But that idea of like, yeah, it's not just hunting, but I can guarantee you'll get a spot, next year, because I've lived it, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, like, you show up to something you have no idea what to do here. It's like, look for work, right?
Yeah.
It's like, just look for work and good things will come. It's simple. It is not easy in the most terms, but it's just like, you got it. And man, does that ever end? I don't think so. Do I want it to ever end? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I look at it as like the new guy, right? The FNG, the fucking new guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think I ever want that mentality to ever leave. Whether I'm, I still feel personally new to hunting. So in the woods, it's like, when I'm with a group of people, I'm the new guy, and I just feel that way. But work, anytime you're spending that time, it's still like having that humbleness and the reality of like, okay, I can still look at this as like, I'm the new guy. I'm here to grind. I'm here to be an asset. I'm here to soak it in. And then even like a camp, and this isn't for me, so I don't know, but it's like, even if you have experience showing up to a new camp and, you're kind of running the show, and it's like, I do, I set camp up a little different, but it's like, I can follow your way. I can learn from you. And then maybe, hey, there's a little trick here that we could kind of do moving forward. But I haven't had too many experiences with people in the woods, but we did have one with a guy, and there's just that lack of humbleness. And then that just made the next 6 days pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Right. Everything kind of just went on from there, of just right from the get-go of, I know better. I know this spot, it's.
Yep.
And you got someone here who's been running these woods since they were 12. Right. And so it's like, they might be quiet over here in the corner right now, but it's like,
Yeah. And, you bring up a good point with that. It's like, personally, I struggle with that too, of like, not so much the humbleness, but it's like, I do know best. Like, the teepee should probably be set up here because we're going to have, westerly wind or north wind. But then a guy go, hey, well, why don't we set it up that way? I can struggle with that, of going, man, does he have a point here?
Yeah.
And then it's, do you want to dive into a conversation of like, okay, well, why do you think that?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get better at going, okay, your idea, let's run with it. Right. In the woods is tricky because, if you're back there 6, 7, 8 miles and your, tent or whatever blows over because it wasn't set up properly.
Yeah.
Now we have good times. Right. So I feel that too a little bit, but as far as like, man, if this guy has more experience, de facto, okay, you lead me until you prove that you're not supposed to be in charge here.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, hey, how about we try it this way? Right. And step in there and also be humble and going, hey, you mind if I take the reins for a little bit too?
Yeah.
And I think you can guide that, I've taken a 17, 18-year-old out this last couple of years. And this year I kind of let him lead. I go, okay, you pick, and then you can still kind of have the reins a little bit, and, they'll look back for you for guidance, and you give them a head nod like this way, it's like the shadows are casting this way, stay in the shadows, take this way around, and so you can still pull those wood, but if the guy's willing to look back at you and go, hey, what do you think here?
Yeah.
But if you don't have that mentality, that's a rough 6 days.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a good topic of like who you share time with and what do you do in the future of like not letting that person or that personality poison the well of not taking out another person. Right. That's something I've been struggling with, of like, okay, do I want to keep taking new guys out? And because I love that world, and let them experience what has given so much to me. But at some point, it's like, are you appreciating this?
Yeah.
Are you appreciating what this is offering you? Not only the good, but also the bad, like that lesson of like, hey, you fucked up.
Yeah.
And hopefully you learn from that. And that's why it's fun having you along, or like Patrick is, there's been so many times it's just like a shit situation and you're just laughing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, you keep from laughing from crying sometimes. But it's like, what's the alternative? And I struggle with that. And that's why I enjoy having you around.
Yeah.
Because you go, hey man, we're going to laugh through this, where I can get a little poopy pants and pissy party about it for a little bit. And that's where it's fun to have.
I'll try to bring out a smile.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whatever you're doing, if you're faking it, or it's like, I think that's genuine in you.
Yeah.
And in the ultra world too, it's like, this is a shit situation right now.
Yeah.
But who you choose to have there with you as your pacer, right? And I think you can have a pacer through life too, who's go, hey, I'm going to get you to this next mile marker. It's 30 miles away. And you're going to hate it, but we're going to have some fun doing it.
And I think you made me think about Lamb Man. Me and the wife have been watching that. You know, we just finished a couple seasons, or the 2 that are out. But you know, when his ex-wife comes back in the picture, right? And it's like dinner night every night and all these themes.
Yeah.
And it's like we have appreciation, but you can't expect us to act a certain way.
Yep.
So it's like maybe that appreciation isn't shown the same way that you envisioned or thought. It's like they have some appreciation there, but that expectation of how they should receive it and take it, it's a tough one for me too, right? Of like why aren't you appreciative of this, especially with like the young kids? It's like, but you can't expect. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but just kind of that idea of flipping that mindset of like, how do we keep continuing to be there and set up these opportunities for someone, regardless of that outcome and how they perceive to take it.
Yeah, that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Not only this, like the hunting, but also the business world too.
Yeah.
Is, you know, like people not meeting expectations that I've set in my own head. And then, you know, I'm a big standards guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I don't set the bar the highest out of anyone, but it's a high bar of just what I think it is to be a capable human. It's like, this is what we're doing. This is how we show up. And then I get pissy when people don't meet that, but I've never really been a good leader in those expectations or expressed them either. And so you have to go, okay, well, Joel, if you're so smart, then why aren't people, meeting your expectations or standards? On the mountain, it's tough for me because that's just a special place, right?
Yeah.
And so when, guys aren't keeping up, it's like you had all year to train for this. And I told you it was going to be the hardest thing you've probably ever done in your life.
Yeah.
Physically anyways. And then I go, okay, well, now I get mad.
Yeah.
Or frustrated. And it's like, hey, we're only halfway in, right? And you're saying this is the toughest thing you've ever done. It's like, well, what'd you expect? And it's like, well, hey, obviously something different, Joel. So having that grace, and man, that grace period has been a big one really of my 30s,
On that though, there has to be some expectation of effort put into, right? Like you got a year.
Yeah.
Like I'm frustrated mostly right now because in this last 2 hours or 3 days out of 6 or whatever, sometimes it's 40 minutes into the hike in, right? You kind of see some of this and it's like, okay, the effort wasn't there. But I'm feeling internally that I have put in a pretty big chunk of effort and then I'm going to continue, and we kind of have this whole adventure starting.
Yeah. Well, I think even before that too, it's like, if you are taking a new guy out or someone with less experience, man, just getting to the trailhead is 50% of the effort.
It's hard.
Yeah. And that's, thankfully that's where RuckList is coming in. Right?
Yeah.
Cause it's like sending text back and forth and like, a spreadsheet of, hey, what do you think? Should I bring this? Should I not bring this? What do you bring in? Should I bring a stove? Should we bring 3 stoves?
Yep.
And then we end up with 4 stoves.
Yep.
And it's like, why do we have 4 stoves up here?
Yep.
Right.
I got my stove, but I forgot my release, right?
Yeah. But just like texting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But texting back and forth. But it's a lot of work just to step foot off that trailhead and go, okay, now we're going on the adventure. But a lot of people don't see that, right?
Yeah.
That are just coming out. They've got their own world. They're worried about, man, they're so nervous about coming out. It's a daunting thing.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you're driving and you see the mountains and you're like, oh shit. And then I used to point out where we were going and it got in people's heads. I go,
okay,
we're driving here, we're at 8,000 feet and you see that tip top where the snow is. Yeah, that's about 13.5 and we're going to be right below that snow line. And they like you physically see their jaw drop and you're like, yep, give it 6 hours and we'll be there tonight. And we're going to see an elk tonight. And they like holy shit moment.
Yeah.
And so now I don't do that.
Okay, we're gonna hit this trailhead.
We're going to, stage, like keep your world small.
Yep.
Like,
It looks like every other trailhead in this world.
yep. Or any other adventure.
Yep.
It's like keep your world small, and then we just click off these things, these checkpoints. And I think that's really important to do. You know, we just finished 4x4, 48.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm just going to make it to the next one. Instead of looking at this giant, 48 hours that you have to eat. It's like, okay, I got that 4 hours done. Okay. Next 4. And I'll just piece it.
Yeah.
Piece by piece. Right. And you hear that advice from a lot of people of just keeping your world small. That can be really tough when you're in the shit. Right.
100%. Very tough. That lead up to it only helps in this shit though, I think. Right. And so keeping that world small even before. So whenever, when you need your world to be the smallest and into this exact moment that you're somewhat prepared. 4x48. This year was a good one for me. I really hate it. It's, it's tremendous training, for what we do. Just kind of getting up the really the mental piece of like when you don't want to do it, getting up and doing it, and then stretching a whole weekend, right? You're still at your house, you still got family, you still got work, you still got whatever. Great training piece, but man, does it suck. But this year I didn't think about it leading up. And you know me, I'm not the most prepped and advanced anyways. But this one, it's like, I don't need anything specific. I'm wearing shoes and I'm wearing shorts and a long sleeve at night. And, we're not even headlamping it. There's no gels. There's no nutrition, in comparison to like a race day. So it's like, I'm not losing any sleep over this leading up to it. And then whenever it was about 7:20, it was like, okay, I'm going to start running 4x4 by 48 in 40 minutes. And that's that. And that's the rest of my weekend. Yeah. And just tried to really not have that mental buildup because it is daunting. And that's just a good example. We did that this last weekend and that helped a ton. My 100 this last summer, you helped me tremendously get across on, but it was I just really had to stop stressing, leading up into it. It's just like, I got to put this out of my mind. I'm crushing my miles. I'm doing what I need to do. Eventually I'll get my plan down on my napkin or my envelope, right?
Napkin plan.
But just really kind of that leading up portion. And the 100 really helped me. It really helped me realize like how important that was for me. And then like with us going elk hunting now, there's just less stress on me, for those trips. And that, this year was an example of it just being a lot more free when we're up there, just mentally. And, I still probably stress you out, and getting on the road is the hardest part with me. And, we got 3 trips before we leave town or whatever.
Yeah, I got my trainer time factored in.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
So, but
that's a good, like, from our, you invited me, you really got me into the ultra world. Like 2020, we did a 6-hour race.
Yep.
And man, just the mentality, and it stretches beyond whatever you're doing. But once you get so many reps, it's like, okay, I know what this is going to take. Right. And I'm not saying not to prepare and plan as much as you can and visualize. But there is a certain, at least for me, right. When I go, okay, we got a 6-hour race coming up, or we got 30 mile, we got a 50 miler. Okay. Is it going to suck? Yeah. Do I need these 4 things? Yeah. Do I need water? Probably not. Right. Am I saying that? Is that the smartest approach? But you get a comfortability, and then it, directly with hunting. And I also think with business, I'm learning a lot on the business side. But I think, I love the quote. It was like, once you see the way broadly, you see it in all things.
Yeah.
And man, that's been playing a lot in my head, honestly, the last few years. But it's like, it doesn't matter if it's this thing or that thing or way over here. It all kind of blends together. For us, it's running and hunting, and business, right? And you're going into a new chapter of your life, right? You're starting schooling.
Yep.
But man, you've run that race already. You go, okay, I know what this is going to take. 75%, 80%.
Yep.
And we're going to figure out the other 20% on the trail, right? Because you can have that plan, right? And you can run it as much as, and then something's going to come up. And I think that's where, voluntarily doing hard things gets you in that mode of, it's a mindset, right? Because I'm telling you, if you're physically capable, you can do a 100-miler. Because people are like, oh, I can't believe you run that far. It's like, well, I'm not going to tell you, but it's not a lot of running.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hiking.
A lot of keep going.
And it's a mental, right? We saw it with your 100 this year.
Yeah.
You got picked up by your first pacers at like 8:00 and you're in 47th place, I think.
Yep.
And I picked you up at 3 a.m. and you're in 14th place.
Yep.
Well, what happened overnight? Right? People shut down mentally.
Yeah.
They all started and they all had the same goal of finishing. You said, hey, I'm going to stay on my goal and we're going to see this thing through. Those other people, maybe 1% had injuries, life-threatening, whatever.
Yep.
And pulled out. The others, and you can apply that across all facets. It's like people hit a barrier and they quit, and I'm guilty of that too. It's like
100%.
I'll quit. But having that, it's like, what took you from 47th place and we finished at 12th place, right? I was pretty pissed because there wasn't very many.
Yeah, you didn't get to snatch any souls.
I'm a soul snatcher, but there was only 2 souls in front of us that we could legitimately.
Yep. Yeah, and that was, obviously the team around me helped so much to keep me on my goal. And then also that night we were able to exceed the goal a little bit too, right? And without that team, it would have been really hard for me to do it myself. But once we made up our mind, this is how we're going to approach this next, I don't remember how many miles that was, 20 to 30 and all night basically. And it was like, this is how we're going to approach it. And when we stepped off, there was no other mentality. This is how we're going to tackle this at the fullest. And everything from the past is behind. But then it was like, once you started passing 1, 2, and, it was a big climb up out.
Sure.
And it was just like, oh, yeah. Yep. They're dead. I mean, they quit. Yep. Mentally. And they're going to have a really hard time pulling this together. And that's not my problem. But okay, I'm not going to, get into that mentality. It's like sticking on this. And then, there's downs, there's lows in there too, but it's just that piece of staying comfortable with the shit. And it's like, hey, this is what we're going to do and we're going to do it. And then, the outside sources obviously help a lot with the people around you and then the people that you're passing and you're seeing them. And, getting to an aid station, I won't forget, it was, we climbed up and we just passed a ton of people. We were in a group of, in your mind, you're like, these guys are all legit, right? They got gear. They're, and I'm not talking shit on them and I don't know them, but in the 6 minutes that I was, in the vicinity of the aid station with them, it was like 4 of them kept talking about making cutoff times. And it's just like, we're so far ahead of any sort of cutoff time. And also we still have, 40+% of this race to go. And right there it was just like, oh, okay, we're on a different mindset and mine's positive and I'm going to keep this. And so that was pretty impactful.
Yep. Yeah. And then applying that, like a team around you, right?
Yeah.
As like race or life, it's like, that is so important, and back to that earlier thread of like, okay, well, how do you be that person too? You've helped more people finish 100-milers, whereas like I had to peer pressure you into like getting one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause you needed it, kind of that monkey off your back and then that confidence that builds, but you've helped so many people. What, 5 people finish?
Yeah. It was 5 or 6 before I ran mine that I paced for.
Right.
Which was a huge factor in, my ability to keep a clear mind throughout mine. And I hit some walls, and some challenges and some barriers I had to climb over myself. And then obviously you guys had to help me over, metaphorically, right? But keeping that consistent mindset through the whole thing, I only came from seeing you guys in a lot of those moments. And just knowing that like these walls are going to come, and how I handle them with just my mentality and my mood even being shown outward, not just internally, is going to dictate how this goes.
Right. Yeah. And the beautiful thing about an ultra like that is you compress, I think Goggins had mentioned it. And like I said, I'm a copycat.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't have a lot of original stuff, but I'll copy like a motherfucker.
What is it from when we were kids, the Von Dutch?
Okay.
The clothing, it blew up pre kind of social media and stuff. But anyway, Von Dutch, the designer.
Oh, damn, dude. Going designer.
Well, his quote is like, nothing's original.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just,
yeah,
I don't know much else about that guy or the clothing
okay.
brand other than it went up and down. But that whole thing is like, nothing's original.
Right.
Songs aren't original.
But Goggins has this, quote. It's like, doing something hard like that. Now, go out and do whatever you want to do is hard, but it compresses that life down. Like you'll live 5-10 lifetimes in that 35 hours or 30 hours. And, I don't know if I'll ever touch the 24-hour mark on an ultra, or 100-miler rather, but it compresses because you go through those peaks and valleys where it might take you, if you're just doing, I don't know what normal life is, like what people consider, but if you're just living the norm, right? Average Joe, whatever. And I'm not anything special by any means, but it might take you 30 years to experience all those highs and lows and peaks and valleys that we go through when you're doing, even on a hunt, a 6-day hunt. Holy shit, dude. The roller coasters of emotions. You're just like, he's right there. Oh, he's gone. Oh, the wind switch. Oh, he's cow busted. Yeah. All right. Or, I've had, perfect 6-hour stock, and then the herd blows out and I'm like checking the wind. And I look over and there's a coyote standing there. It's like something you never even, and and then it's like the highest because you have a 300-inch bull and he's like, he's there. I've been scouting him since July, and then a coyote blows it and it's like tanks it. And it's like, all right, I'm going to sell all my hunting stuff, sell everything, and then 6 hours later, he's like, okay, now there's another bull. Right. But it compresses that timeline down, I think. And there's no way to replicate it by just doing those. Like you have to voluntarily do those things. But, kind of back to my earlier thread of like, you going into a new chapter, you've been here before, right?
Yeah.
And that's the fun part for me on the back end of those things, those experiences is okay. For me, I have my running tote. You tell me we're going to run 100-miler tomorrow. All I need is my tote.
Yep.
I go, cool. Or, like an adventure. Okay. I got my tote, put the tote in. What's the adventure look like? I don't know, but I got the stuff I need physically. And then I got the things 80% what I need mentally. Yeah. Because I know there's going to be walls and I know there's going to be peaks and valleys. And then I know I got the bros, I got the dudes that will pick me up, and also that I can pick up along the way. Cause that gives you power too. When you got to, lend a hand out and pick someone up, that can be a good feeling. But just having those tools in the toolboxes to go, hey, I've been here before. I don't know what this looks like necessarily. But I'm going to apply what I learned over here before to this situation. And I got some dudes that are coming along with me, but mostly, the mental side of just being too dumb to quit.
Yeah.
Or at least knowing when to retreat and recalibrate and re-engage. Right. I think that's super important but the whole thread of this is just going, it takes time, but doing those hard things sets you up for, it doesn't matter what's coming. Like you with your life change here, career change, and going back to school, dude, that's super awesome. Yeah. And I'm super proud of you for that. It's just going, okay, it's a 100-miler, right? Yeah. Or whatever that hard thing was. Because life is going to kick you the real deal. Right. And what what happens when it's an involuntarily hard thing? You get diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Right. Or your child does, or you lose a child, or you lose a parent. Right.
Yep.
For me, I want to have those things in my repertoire to go, I can fall back on. I've been thinking a lot about this concept of an anchor point, right? And we know anchor point from drawing your bow back. And when that cam rolls over, it settles in and you go, I'm home.
Yep.
Okay. Well, things aren't going well. Nothing seems to be going right. You're catching all red lights, right? What's that anchor point that goes, okay, I'm safe here and everything will be okay. And it locks you in, right? And it goes, hey, it's dark right now. But if I do these 1, 2 things, I know, the nights are dark, but the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And maybe that's, a buddy, right?
Yeah.
But really having this anchor point, and I know a majority of the audience is going to know like that feeling of when that bow settles into that valley and you find that behind and you're just like, oh, I feel so good. And then you're just going through the motion, right? You're just floating, right? But having this anchor point when things aren't going right, and life is throwing stuff at you and just going, okay, I'm just going to do these 3 steps.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let the pin float.
Yep.
And I'm going to execute. Right. Yeah. And it will get better. Right. And it can be really hard when it's dark. Right. And it's like, I don't see the light, but knowing I've been through this thing before. Right. And for us, what we've been talking about is like, you don't have to go out and run 100-miler, but you should do something hard, like voluntarily hard to give you, I know what to fall back on. I've been here before and it's just another race or it's another thunderstorm. Yeah. And I know I can ride this thing out. Right. And that's what all those things we've been talking about give us. If it's hunting or ultra or business, it's okay, I see you. I see you there. And I know what to do 50% or 80% or 90% of the way. And then on the other thread, you've been talking about being humble and going, hey, I think I could use some advice here. Have you ever gone through anything like this?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is my 4th time this week.
Yeah.
You sit down. Yeah. You sit down with, on the business side of, Brian, it's like, hey man, getting sued. He's like, cool. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Hand it over here.
Yeah.
Right.
And you probably spent 72 hours just eating at your stomach, waiting to ask that question.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, whatever that is, that.
Well, the lead up to it, like, like the lead up to a race, you just want that gun to go off. Yeah. And, you just want it to start so you can go to work. But that, like, in your head, okay, what happens here? Okay, do I have everything prepared? Right. And just like that buildup. Right. And that's anxiety. Right. Because you're not acting on it. And anxiety goes away once you act on it. Yeah. Right.
Anxiety is the future, right?
Yeah.
It's your body worried about the future.
And that's, it's something I struggle with my wife a lot because I don't feel a lot of anxiety. Yeah. And this is something I'm working on is like, she'll come to me with the problem and I have the solution.
Yeah.
It's not my job.
Yeah.
It's like, shut your mouth and open your ears. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of that. Maybe my life is really simple. And it's like, well, dude, maybe you need to do more to get some more anxiety. I respect that. But it's like problem, solution. Like we are acting. We are default aggressive going into that thing, right?
Yeah.
Get as much as I can, owning what I can of it. And then also getting other people to act as well as much as they can.
Yeah.
But that anxiety thing, I've never really felt it that much. Because I feel like I'm a big preemptive guy, Tim Schofield, who you guys just had on, introduced the idea of, the fire department used to be reactive instead of preactive. And so, okay, our job is to put out fires. We react to the fire. Okay. hey, how about we design buildings or set up systems to be preactive to fires? How do we reduce fires? So you're not always reactive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now apply that to your life. Okay, maybe I'm going to set my clothes out in the morning, right? So I don't have to think about it. And you're buying back this time. That's where I geek out, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do I prep as much as possible? Setting shit out by the door. So I don't even have to look for it in the morning. I grab it, I go, loading the truck, loading the weapons, loading, making sure everything is nice and squared away. It takes a lot of work, right? I've forgotten gear on this last year rifle hunting. I pride myself on being the one that shows up prepared, but then also having another one for the guy that forgot something.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot my boots, forgot my bino harness with my rangefinder, so we're rocking it. No binos, had a spotting scope and some tennis shoes that I duct taped up and made it work. Right?
Yeah.
And, but going, okay, how do I reduce the reactive and be preactive, right?
Yeah.
And RuckList is going to help with that 100% of like checklist of.
And that's that anchor point, right? Of being able to, okay, I forgot this shit. This isn't me. This isn't who I want to be, but I'm here now. A lot of people would be like, okay, we're driving, we're turning around 3 hours away, or we're driving to this store, or we're doing this. Like, it's like, nope, this is what I have. This is what I'm going to do. Get that done. And that's kind of like being comfortable with that anchor point, right? Being comfortable. But it's that build up like you're talking about, right? And so, we talk about kind of like continuing to do hard things and whatever that hard thing would be for you. But we got to experience those, and we got to experience them on a consistent basis, as much self-made of that as we can, because no matter, like you talked about, those avenues, those challenges are going to come regardless. Yep. Whether you think it's not going to have a challenge, it's something that should be easy, I'm going to blow through this or whatever. It's like something will come up. How are you going to handle that?
Right. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. My wife is due with our firstborn, which I know there's a lot of people out there like been telling me for years, like, oh, you just wait, Joel. You think you're so disciplined and squared away and you get up early. Like, but I'm really looking forward to lean into that hard of going, okay, let's test.
Yeah.
Like, has Joel been preparing for this moment of, like the 4x4 is a great example. Like, you got to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Okay. Well, that's going to take you out of your routine a little bit, right? But can you still get done what you need to get done? And then also attend to this thing, a newborn.
Yeah.
And how I'm so interested to see what everyone's been talking about. And I'm sure it's going to be challenging, right? I'm super
100%.
interested.
There's no taking away from it.
What I'm more is like the stage of life you're in with your 7-year-old, where she's like got attitude now, right?
Yeah.
Or a 16-year-old because by the time, obviously my algorithm is all jacked up with baby stuff right now. And but the influence you have on your child or your children by the time they're like 12 or 14, 16 is like 1%. And so it's like, that's what makes me nervous. And that time of like developing kids into adults, right?
Yeah.
Of going, okay, am I setting them up to choose wise friends, right? Or who they spend their time with, right? So I'm not going to be able to choose like who they sit at lunch table with or who they get into a car with, right? And by the grace of like both of us, probably it's a miracle we made it out of our high school years.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. I had, some buddies that should not have made it out, like flipped cars, and you just got in the wrong car with the wrong person. It's like, I want to the hard part I struggle with is like, I want my kids to go through that experience because that has de facto made me who I am. And I don't want to shelter them from that, but they have to have a lens of like, all right, there's a 12-pack in the car. Maybe, I'll call dad for a ride or I'll walk home. Like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
That's the stuff that really I'm nervous about more, and you don't have control of it. And I think the more you try to control it, the worse it might be. I don't know. But
yeah, with a 7-year-old, I think a lot about the future. And just like you brought up, I think about the future, kind of before they leave the house, whatever that age is, right? In kind of the middle school, high school range where you're really starting to make decisions for your own that dictate kind of your future life. And some are, as a middle schooler or a high schooler, some of those are really small and don't really dictate your life. But, a little bit of those pieces are building your character. They're building your, the people that are going to stick around you, the friendships that you're building, what bridges are you burning, that ultimately, I think shape you as the adult you are. And I think as an adult, you can change too, but those are pretty formidable years. And I go back and forth of just like, obviously I want my kids to have that better life, quote unquote. Right. Or it's like, hey, you don't need to go flip that truck. You don't need to put that truck in a tree. You don't need to try whatever your peers are pressuring you into, to find yourself fitting in. But it's like, you also got to learn those lessons on your own. I can't teach you those lessons as much as I say it. I was laughing earlier. I was thinking about how, I look at you as kind of my hunting mentor. And I have, my brothers, which got you into hunting, which are also my mentors in this world. But sometimes you just need it from not your father or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think that goes like at some point it's like, I don't know, your kid's gonna say fuck you. Maybe not out loud, but like I gotta go figure this out for myself, Dad. You're so confident this is the way the world turns.
Yep. Yeah, and you will, I would think you would want that little rebel side of a kid to go. Hey.
I think I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be.
It's challenging when you just want them to put some jammies on and like, wind down. But it's like, I don't know. You don't get your cake and you don't get to keep cake and eat it too, right? It's like, eat it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Or you keep it and you don't get to eat it. And,
what's been your favorite stage so far? Because you got
I got a 7 and a 4-year-old right now. So first grade, and then he's about to start like pre-K this year. And it's the most fun right now. It's the most enjoyable time. Now knowing that it's only going to get better with like my son. For one, just like you're about to learn this aspect of it, but it's just like, when they're little, they just come with a lot. There's a lot of baggage. It's not a bad thing. But now I love like put some shoes on, throw them in the truck, and then we go to the store and I pull them out and we just walk through the store like normal people. Like, so we're at a level where like I can just get him on a bike and we can go, or, he's at an age where he can hang, and that kind of opens up the whole world. And he can't hang entirely, like in the mountains, I got him. Yeah. I think last year he took like a good like mile hike, one way and a mile back. And that was a lot for him. But, in that, it took us 4 hours or whatever. But in that 4 hours, all the rocks. And, it's a great adventure. So it's like them being able to hang is my favorite so far. I think what you're about to go into, and what you and Reagan are in right now, was really, really enjoyable for me. That anticipation, that kind of like looking in the mirror of like, who am I? A lot of those conversations, how am I going to handle this? I liked that idea of like thinking 16 years down the road whenever I didn't even have a kid yet, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you have the baby, then I just, back to your point where it's like, just wait, Joel, just wait. And I don't know if I've said this enough to you, but it's just like, just wait. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be you, and you'll have to change. And you might, have to learn with like, you're going to have some muddy footprints on the back of your, driver's seat. And like, that's life. And you're going to clean them every 2 days. And, but how you handle that moment, right? Mm-hmm. You're and with the discipline and kind of how you look at it, that'll be fine. But you get to create that person. So just wait till you get this baby and your whole life changes and you can't meet. And it's like, no, you get to change your life to now the three of you, you know, and no matter what, you and your wife are now on a new journey. You turn the page, we're starting a new chapter, and you're creating that next map. And there's no one that forces you to do anything. Everyone's going to have opinions.
Yeah. Oh, we're
right?
learning that.
Good or not. And you can't let that stress you out either. But yeah, you're making a roadmap. There's no how to, there's no directions on the kid. And so that first year of having a kid was probably second with the most fun. And then everything is just, and then they grow so fast. So every new experience will be the best thing ever, right? Once they pedal the bike for the first time, you know, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened, you know?
Yeah, I'm really hoping I can learn from that, like shared experience from people of like, cause you know, I'm a worker, right? But not sacrificing that work for that family time. Right now, unfortunately, like that kind of is second tier.
Yeah.
But that has to shift. I'm looking forward to that. You know, and I'm not great at it because I feel an obligation to like, you know, show up as what I am for my guys, right? And that company, that little team I'm responsible for. But then also knowing like, hey man, the team's there, they got your back. Don't rob them of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a deep, just like feeling of I need to be there.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, you're not that important. You know, like experience this time with family. It's like, well, how much time are you going to take off from work? I don't know. A day? Do you take a day off when you have a newborn? No.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
You know, it's like you get back to it. It's like, dude, no, you got to like slow down. Right. And enjoy it because it does go quick. Right.
Very quick. The stages go fast. I think you'll inherently change that kind of mentality. I don't think you'll lose that, you know, you're a worker, right? And this is what I do. I grind. I think there's a little perspective of just like what's worth it. I don't need to sit at my computer and hammer this task out that is probably important, but is it important right now? Or I can pack up my stuff and I can go home at 5:15.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to stay till 6 today.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Like I can be back in, like the kids will, like eventually you're like, I want to be with them and I'm not going to lose the importance of the things around me. But at the end of the day, if my team can't pick it up over here, then, you know, then that's something I need to fix. But at the same time, like it is very important that I am here for them. And as a little kid, especially as I start getting older and in grade school, they don't like, we always talked about in the military, it's like, hey, I got to leave. And it's like, you know, Jocko talks about a lot about this. It's like men have been leaving their families for centuries and thousands of years and whatever that mission is, whether it's militaristic or work or whatever, but it's like, hey, I'm packing up, I'm going, I got to do this job. And I'll be back and we'll have money and we'll go from there. And it's like, a family has to be okay with that. But I don't think that idea ultimately takes away the importance of having a father. And your kids don't see it that way. My 7-year-old doesn't see it as like, hey, I've been going to work the whole time you've been alive. It's like, no, this Friday, I really want to hang out with you. Yeah. And that's the center of their world.
Sure. Yeah, mine's not so much like going away it's like hunting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's a big piece. And we've already had that discussion of like, all right, how are we carving out time in September? Because that's going to look different. You know, I'm used to 20 to 25 days on the field in September.
Yeah.
Hiking around.
Yeah.
not, you know, I've been on a dry spell here. Yeah. My last elk was 2021.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, with a bow anyways. Yeah. So it's like, okay, how are we going to capitalize on that time? I used to, you know, I started hunting with Brian, Adam, and Jay. And man, I used to get I didn't even know what they were talking about. They're like, I miss my family. Yeah. Right. And I was 23 at the time. mid-20s, right? Had Reagan in my life, but not living here. And they're like, I just want to get back to my wife and kids. I'm like, you pussies.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're living the life out here, right? We got screaming elk, like we're primitive, like this is awesome. And now I'm starting to feel that, right?
Yeah.
Of just like, oh, okay, I get what they're, and 10 years later, it's like, oh, I get what they're talking about now. But just knowing, hey, you came out here, like so many people sacrificed for you to be out here to do this thing, right? To go and enjoy what you're like, make the most of it, right?
Yes.
And so, but it can be tough in the moment, but it's like ultimately, okay, what are we here to do? Let's focus on that. Let's try to bring some meat home for the family.
Yeah.
You know,
and enjoy myself, like find a piece of myself, right? Like,
yeah, you should be coming back a better man.
Yeah.
After that trip.
Yeah.
Right. And a little advice, like try to, maybe if you have to, fake it a little bit.
Yeah.
That way, when you ask to go again, it's not such a burden on like the home front. Like, okay, you come home and you're taking care of the family, what you need to, unless you're coming home and you're not stepping up to the plate. It's like, oh, I'm not going to allow you to do that again.
Yeah.
Right. Or there's going to be some contention there. Right. Which honestly, all the wives I know set the benchmark for, like that's how they all go and enjoy yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And then conversely, Reagan went to Paris for a month this year.
Yeah.
Now, did it align with September? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Was she pregnant during that time? She was.
Yeah.
But going on the man side, okay, that's her elk hunt.
Yeah.
I want you've dreamed about this, I hear once you have kids, people say, well, I wish I would have done that. And I wish I would have done this. So it's like, okay, knowing that's going to change, we're going to have to sacrifice. Hey, babe, take a month. Now I'm a little different on the emotional side. Like I can be away from my wife for a month and I can be okay. Right.
Yeah.
Do I miss her? Do I love her? Yes. But hey, I'm good. Like I'm good on my own. Right. I've been doing this since I was 17 on my own. Right. By myself. Obviously a tremendous amount of support when you start to peel back the layers of like, well, no, dude, actually some people have been helping you a lot. So I'm a little different in that aspect. But going, hey, that's her elk hunt, right? It took me a long time to learn that of like, what's her elk hunt and how do you give her space? Obviously, B has been a huge mentor in that as like a big brother of going, hey, he's never told me directly, but planting seeds, right? He's really good at that.
Yep.
That flanking, that, black belt move he does. I don't know if he does it deliberately or he's just like a little on the tism side.
Yeah, exactly.
But going, hey, that's her elk hunt. And how much does that mean to you? When she lets you go and do and enjoy that space. Okay, well, how do you create space for her on that same side? Again, it's something that shouldn't seem that's obvious. Yeah. Well, it's not, man, if you don't know that color, like if you don't know what red looks like, explaining red to someone that can't see it, it's like, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's just on that journey of how do you create space with each other, and come back a better man, and hopefully she comes back as a better woman as well. Let her go out and do her thing. That
team aspect of, a couple, a man and a wife, to me is, we always talk about like our 5 years. We're different people in 5 years. Every 5 years we've changed. Are we changing in a direction that we're changing together or different? But I always think like, you're with hear the stories that were 20 years and then they got divorced or whatever. It's like, well, they were with each other as those different people for 3 years and they couldn't handle it. Yeah. 17 of that, they were kind of aligned. So I think just that alignment piece of that, it's such a team. And then putting in that effort to kind of create those situations for you. But it's like, if a hunt isn't right, or if a race isn't right in the house, like, okay, I need to step back. Can I make this happen? Can I correct whatever the issues are that are going to bring up an issue that I'm gone for this weekend or whatever, can I alleviate that before I leave, or do I need to just cancel this trip altogether? Can I show that I have commitment in this teamwork also, that I can put that to the side? And like, I know it's going to be tough. We got this on, we're squared away and we're going to go, and it's going to be hard, and I'm going to think about it a lot. And that's where that piece of like, I am going to have fun and I'm going to enjoy this. But yeah, I am going to miss my family at night. I am going to think a lot about like, man, I probably should be there right now for this one thing or whatever. But I think that's the strength of that teammate, right? Of like, I'm going to miss them, but also I know that they are holding up their end of the bargain, and therefore I can go out here and have some fun and do what I was called to do, or the mission.
Right. And make the most of that, like what they're sacrificing.
Yep.
To that.
Yeah, because I could feel poo-pooey and they could feel poo-pooey, and then we could just ruin everything. And then what was the point of even doing this, right? So are these sacrifices worth it? But dude, you're in a really fun journey. I'm very, very pumped for you and Reagan. And dude, yeah, you get to write that manual. Your new skins turn over, right? It's like, who are you as a dad and who is she as a mom? And then who are you as a couple, as mom and dad? And then luckily, you got a solid year before anything really starts happening. You get to just build that life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once they start walking, then it's kind of, a slow build, but
yeah,
then you're chasing, and I don't know how people do it with a bunch of kids. I always thought I wanted a ton of kids, and,
farmland, dude.
It's
got to have animals to feed
and land. Cause it's just a lot, but
dude, it's wild. Yeah. Like my grandparents, came from, my grandmother was one of 14.
Yeah.
And my grandpa was one of 12.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
and so you're going, and then they had 6 kids themselves. Right. And so and you see that thread through history. It's like, it's getting smaller and smaller when it's just expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Society dictates that a little.
Like that farm life, man, I grew up on a farm, and you were hauling water, right? You were feeding animals. It kept you busy. Now you can get into a lot of trouble on a farm.
Yeah.
But the response time for the police are a little better out there than in the city, right? So it's that lenience of trouble, right?
Yeah.
And then you get really good at covering stuff up, right? Like I lit some trucks on fire, dude. I shot my window out one time. Told my dad, like, the dog jumped through the window. And so, yeah.
Wait till you get those thrown back in your face.
I know, dude. That's going to be...
It's fun,
But, and, he did everything. He's, like, locking guns up, but I knew where the keys were. So it's like, I was getting the key. It's not like it was an unsafe environment, but just like...
Yeah.
But, yeah, you grow up on a farm, and I want that for my kids, because I want them to be able to, get into a little bit of trouble, or at least, and then also know, okay, you got to go out and feed, right?
Yeah, there's responsibility attached to this,
and like you said earlier, is like, well, maybe I didn't learn that from my dad, and he's been saying that, but where we went, our babysitter, probably one of the hardest working men I've ever seen, just from, second or third generation farmer, right?
Yeah.
But his mentality was the animals eat first. It doesn't matter the weather. It doesn't matter how hungry you are, how thirsty you are. We feed all the animals before we eat, right? And I still do that, with my, I got a yellow lab sitting at her feet. I make sure she is eating around the same time, if not before us, right?
Yep.
And so how do you pass that along, and how do you pass along the test, but also the lesson of why that's so important to a child, right? I don't know, besides just doing and being that person that does it and going, hey, this is the example. This is the standard that we live by as a human, right?
Yeah.
And we treat people and animals with respect, but also the bigger lesson of that thing of like, it's bigger than you. Don't worry about yourself so much.
Yeah.
Right? Take care of others first. Take care of this thing. Take care of your gear first, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how you have 13 kids without a farm and a bunch of dairy cows to milk.
Yeah. Society, but how do we present those, you know, with 2 kids or a bunch of kids, but like in our concrete jungle that we do live in, you know, that metaphorically, but it's like, how do you allow them, how do you still teach the same lessons? How do you,
Yeah.
or what I'm trying to work is like, is the mentality of like, how do I teach them the same lessons, or how do I change and adapt to teach them the lessons for their surrounding?
Yeah. I think
So instead of just being like, hey, I wish I had a farm for you to live on and then you would learn these lessons,
Right.
but it's like, well, they don't.
Yeah.
And I have a 7-year-old now who, you know, I was looking at it the other day and it's like, oh, you're a kid. Like, you're in it. You have your own opinions, your emotions. You are full blown. You're going to remember these conversations moving forward. Like, you are in it. There's no more build up now. This is life for you.
Yeah. Like, you're making an impact on
Yeah.
her future, right?
Yeah.
Of how you interact with her.
And that's where, like, you as a friend and kind of looking up to that piece is that standardized, right, life of like, and I know you're not perfect, but I know a lot of people in my life, and there's not very many that hang with you on living a life of standards, your own standards, but making those a priority and checking those blocks more often than not. And as someone who's kind of the complete opposite of you in that, you know, trying to be better, you've taught me a lot in there, and or you know, from the outside looking in, but that's the one I go back to a lot. And of course, I think with your own kids, you're like looking in a mirror sometimes and you're like, well, that's my biggest downfall, or that's where and so it's a little bit magnified. But if I just had a little bit more of a standardization to how I
Sure.
spoke and thought and woke up every morning and presented myself to my family, they're watching everything. I think, you know, it's
Ultimately you are. And I think where you excel really well is, you know, in something that I think, you know, obviously you mentioned Jocko has been never met him, you know, but big mentor in my life.
Oh yeah.
You know, but he has this thing like, your kids are not going to be who you want them to be. And I just am so thankful I've heard that phrase, and then also repeated from all the men in my life with kids. That's something I would have struggled with, and I probably still will struggle with, of like, hey, this is the standard.
Yeah.
But, you know, that idea, and I don't know what it is, it's only a theory to me right now. But your kids are not going to be who you want them to be. To me, when I look at, you know, Tyrel raising, you do a good job of like, okay, well, they're going to be who they want to be. And I got to try and, you know, work into their personalities, right? Or who they're going to be. That's something I would struggle, like, nope, this is how it is. No fucking slack, right?
Yeah.
You know, and learning to, no, there's a lot more color in the world than just black and white.
Yes.
You know, through my 20s, it was black and white. It was a simple yes or no, you know, and that served me really well for that time. It is not serving me so well now. And you have to learn when you're in a leadership position, going, okay, how do I get the best out of this individual, right? But that idea of like, your kids are not going to be who you want them to be. I understand it. I'm still going to struggle with it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're going to go out and, you know, we're going to do this thing. But,
yeah.
I think to that point of like, I think hunting is that vehicle of like, how do we teach them to chop wood, carry water?
Yes.
But then also, man, you've been there with me on a harvest. Like, there's ever a time where I'll get emotional, it will be on a harvest. It is one of the hardest things I think you know, like voluntarily doing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I've been through some stuff in life, right? Losing my mother super young. But like those same emotions will come back on harvesting an animal, right? And so when people look at that, you know, you can give your opinion on that of like, you just sit there for a while and you're just like, you put your hand on that animal. And it's just like a deep respect. It's really hard to explain, of what that is and why it is. But I think that narrative is coming out in the hunting world, because the narrative of like hunters is like, you know, six pack and drive around and shoot shit.
Yep.
Which, you know, is true. I think Donnie Vincent does a really, really good job. If no one's heard of him, go look up some of his videos. You know, they're 30, 40, 50 minutes long, and sometimes he won't even harvest anything. But when he does, you're like, oh shit, you feel the profoundness in that. Like it shouldn't be easy to take a life. And it's like, okay, now I have a 12-year-old with me. How do I show them this is how we're going to respect this? Like, no, we don't drop meat on the ground. Like, you don't just roll that meat on the ground. Like, you care more about that thing, you know, this animal, even though it's dead, than, you know, you would your own being, right? So I think that's how I envision sharing that experience of like, how do you show up as a person?
Yeah.
And how do you respect things more than yourself? And then also carry a high respect for yourself as well. Like, you set the tone, you set the standard, right? You make the weather of where you are. And for better or worse, people will rise to that. And if they don't, hopefully they're better for at least being in your orbit for whatever time they want to be there, or you allow them to be there, right? But the hunting it's such a big vehicle for me. That's how I'm really excited to get kids out in the woods with that. And hopefully I can be a good example of like, oh, we're not just out here shooting stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is a 3, 4, 5 day process. And then ultimately every time we eat that meat, hopefully it hurt, you know, good enough till we remember.
Yeah.
Like, why did I shoot that cow 8 miles away from the truck? Oh, this is why. Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that hunting and when I think about sharing those experiences with my kids, it's unique in our world today, especially in our immediate world that we live in right here. It's like, you know, my kids can go a long time right now without understanding to respect animals. You know, we don't have a pet in our house. And there's dogs in the neighborhood and cats and all this kind of stuff, but it's like, they don't get taught that kind of respect level. You know, it's just not there. It's just not. And so getting into just nature, let us animals or not, but just kind of respecting the free world, right? What's natural still, just because we don't get much of that. And even, you know, going from school to a park, the park is not natural really. You know, it's really hard to grass at parks anymore, you know? And so I don't know, man. I think that's just a big avenue of where we can kind of teach that natural stuff. You talked earlier about like, well, maybe my life's too simple. And it's like, well, maybe we're all trying to live a life that's not simple enough.
Yeah.
You know, because for thousands of years, there was a lot less inputs.
Right. Yeah.
And the inputs that we receive today are not very old. It's all new how we live life.
Yeah. Right.
You know, our grandparents wouldn't recognize it when they were young, right? Of what we have.
Well, that's the other beautiful thing about it. Doesn't have to be hunting, but just out in the mountains, like shelter, food, water, right? Yeah. It's like you boil it down pretty simpler out there. You got those things. It's like we're doing pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And especially if it's like, man, when the shit rolls in, you know, I've spent, I think it was a 36-hour stint in a snowstorm, you know, where it was like weathered in. We had a wildfire burning on 4 sides of us, right? And it was like, cool, we got water. We got a decent tent, as long as it keeps shaking the snow off.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got food.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing pretty good, right? You boil it down and you simplify things down to just like, this is what I need, right? How do you do that to the day-to-day and remember those lessons? I think is a practice everyone can do, of just like, and that's that gratitude part, you know, that, you know, I don't do a great job of, but just like when shit's getting overwhelming or you're having a hard time, it's like, man, just thankful, right?
Yeah.
Like, flip a switch on.
Oh yeah.
Running water, like, okay, things are pretty, I get to work out. Like I choose to work out, right? Or exercise my mind or body. Just, yeah, like things are pretty good.
Yeah.
Right now. But yeah, it can be tough day to day. But I think coming back to that anchor point of like, just that anchor point of gratitude.
Yeah.
Just going. And I am not the best at it, right?
Yeah.
But man, my wife will tell you, like, I will, like, when I get into bed, I'm just like, dang, this bed is so awesome. Like a pillow.
Yeah.
Right. And if you sleep on some shitty ground out, and it's like gives you that perspective of thankfulness. But you have to do it. You have to go out and experience,
Yeah, you got to build that perspective.
Yeah. Yep.
One thing I think is kind of cool of our friendship is we met in our 20s. So we didn't like grow up together, but I always think of us as growing up together.
Mm.
And how we have built and grown our individual perspectives. And I think kind of shared that, right? And we've talked about this before, just kind of we're different people in ways, but not very many times in my life or friendships or anything that I really like tried to dig into like why you look at it that way, or like why are we different and stuff. And so that growing up piece together, it just happened to be in our 20s whenever we were both trying to take next steps in life, right? We were still having fun. We met on a playing field of we'd been doing our previous life and that kind of jive, but we were both trying to subconsciously, that's something we weren't talking about at 23, 22 really.
Yep. I worked with you for a couple of years, and you were like, hey, like Army is on the horizon, right?
Yep.
So big transition there that catapulted me into like, okay, transition, right? And by the grace of the gods, like your brothers saw something in me and like kept me around because I gave them plenty of opportunities to fire and move on from this shithead kid.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's been, 10 years. I mean, it's pretty wild. It's been fun to watch you go through that, like, we'll call it like that immature boy. Yeah. And then like going to the Army and like a big change there, imposed discipline. But then coming out and you got married before you went in, right? Yep. Big step to Aim Dog, who's an awesome woman. But then you're starting a family. And the beautiful thing is like, but you're still you, T,
Yeah.
Like you're still authentically you. And should we be evolving? Should we be trying to change? But at some core, it's like, how do you keep that magic alive? I used to go like back and forth of who my favorite trainer was, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, Brian's the best, right? Yeah. And then it's like, Adam sucks. And then the next week it'd be like, Brian sucks, Adam's the best,
Yeah.
Because this is like, Adam was in a time period of like, it was,
they were grinding.
They were grinding, man. And, but then it was like, oh yeah, T's over here. And he's always been just like, you've always been Tyrel, man. It's like, it's going to be a good time, right? Even in a shitty moment. If we got to move concrete or dirt or whatever, it's going to be fun. And it's like, maybe Tyrel's my favorite trainer, right? Maybe he doesn't show up all the time with prepared, like his shoes tied, but I know he'll show up, right? I know that motherfucker will show up.
Yeah.
Right. And he will carry his weight. And that's, man, the more you look for in a buddy, what more could you ask for, right? It's like, maybe he's not a reflection of who I want him to be.
Yeah.
But you have to be okay with that. And I'm learning that still.
Yeah.
Because I want people to show up at this level.
Yeah.
And be that person. But it's like, dude, no. Like Tyrel's going to bring his aspect of it. As long as he's genuinely him, right? What more could you ask for?
Yeah.
Right? And just to clear the air, like, I love all the trainers. It's been, I'm like the adopted, at least I think I'm the adopted like brother now.
You're a brother.
So I think I have the authority to say that of like, like this guy sucks this week, but this guy's pretty cool the next week.
And that's life. You know, at the end of the day, we're still human, right? We're still going to have our, you know, I don't have all the energy. I'm going to bring it.
Yeah, you bring it though.
And in my mind, it's more than most people, but it's not, you know, maybe exactly what I want to bring. Yeah, dude, that's, it's fun kind of building that character. You know, for us as that friendship kind of evolved of like, maybe not being that person you want. It was also in a time where we were taking some changes, and it was like we had friends from the past growing up where it was like a mixture of like, I'm not okay with this, but I'm trying to be okay. Like, you know, finding that balance of like, I just can't get behind you and what your choices are anymore.
The lonely chapter.
But also like you can't burn every bridge either, because this world isn't made to be solo.
Right.
I don't think. Right. And so keeping true to yourself while also you know, bending a little bit and being okay with the people around you and you know, hopefully they're showing up genuine too though, right?
Yeah, but that's been a big lesson of being around you. And really B's the like, you know what I mean? Like
I'm just trying to be like him.
Because I'm a planner, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, we're going to Utah to scout elk, right? And this is a real story, right? And it's like, all right, man, well, where are we staying first? Where are we getting food? And he's like, just get in the fucking truck, right? Like we got 7 hours to figure it out. Like we're going to figure it out. But I think back to our earlier thread of however long ago, it's like he's been through that. He's taken enough road trips, metaphorically, if that's life road trips or physical road trips ago. I know we'll figure it out along the way. Like, we got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're a guy that doesn't know and you want to plan it, that's been a big change for me of just going, I'm not going to hold on so tight. Like we don't need to plan every aspect. I got my tote. I know what I need in that tote, and we'll be good as long as I have that. Yeah. Like you give me a solid pair of, you know, hiking boots or running shoes and a pack, we can get somewhere.
We're going to adventure. Now. Yeah.
But I wouldn't have known that even 6 years ago, right? When we first started ultras, like, or down this path. So you have to get those reps in. Yeah. But being with a dude, sharing an experience with a guy that's had those reps around, can just open your eyes to go, okay, we got this, right?
Yeah.
And it can be.
There's power in that too.
Yeah.
Right. The we got this, and not just like I got this.
Yeah.
Like there's power knowing that like they're gonna step up.
Something I wish I could bottle up, like a formula for, but I don't know if it's possible. It's just by going through the motions or the reps or the motto of he who suffers learns.
Yes.
What we've all like, just like, even for the kids, like we were talking about, like, how do you, I don't think there is a magic pill or a shortcut, right? And also, I don't know if you would want it, right? Because everyone's always looking for the hack or the shortcut, or, hey, if I do this A, B, C, I'll get to the end. And it's like, I don't know if that's the right thing, right? It's like, you know, money's a big one. It's like, you know, you hear like money's the root of all evil. It's like, well, maybe I'd like to fucking see for myself. Yeah. And it's like, but also maybe take some advice on that. And go, well, maybe I want to feel what it is to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, if it's checking all those boxes, maybe I don't want to be that. Maybe I don't want that on the money side of things. So,
yeah. Like I would take the, you know, the like more money, more problems, right? And it's like, well, I would like to know what those problems are. Like I know what problems are with less money. So
exactly,
I want to know what that is. And then it's like we think of that in game, but then the process to even get to feel what those problems are. Are you willing to sign up for those, checking those blocks to get to that? And then I don't think we think a lot about that, right? That journey piece.
I agree.
Just it's all kind of that. And we're in the social media era where it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. Are you willing to put in the work for it, right?
And most people don't know the work, and most people aren't even going to take that first step.
Right.
I think we have a little bit of a crazy gene where it's like, oh yeah, we can run that.
Yeah.
And then you take that step and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, man. Like Cam's a good example. Cam Haynes out there.
Yeah.
Like you see what he does, but people don't, he's on socials and you see him putting in the miles, but really what
he tried, he's really tried to paint that picture of the daily life.
Yes, but you don't know. You can
Don't
watch
know.
a 30-second reel, but dude, and you can think what you want about that guy, but at the end of the day, he's a grind. Like he has earned every aspect of, he just put up a post where he's like on 100 bulls or something, and people might think, oh yeah, I could do that if I hunted San Carlos, and well, you haven't done the 30 years of work to get to hunt that place, right? Like there's a reason he's in that spot, and there's not very many of Cam Haynes out there.
No.
Right. And so that's what it's like. Okay, take a little aspect of Cam, maybe his work ethic. It's like that dude's shooting his bow every day, at
Every
least
day.
what he shows me on social media. Right. And it's like, okay, I'm going to grab my bow today. I didn't even think about it, or I don't want to do it. But if I want some level of success as I define it by what he does, then I better pick up my bow.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that willingness to put in into the hopper and give out the outcome that you want. No, I think that's where you have to define success for what it is. Maybe success is 6 days of watching sunrises and sunsets with, for me, it's a cup of cocoa, right?
Yep.
And a little mountain mocha.
Oh
right?
yeah.
If I get frisky, I'll put some Black Rifle coffee in there.
Just messing up good cocoa then.
Yeah, exactly. And you've seen me on that struggle of like, man, we failed.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, no, like look around. Like this is it. Like, you know what people would give to be up here? And it's like, well, we didn't achieve what we set out to achieve. And it's like, well, take a step back. And what did we? Well, we checked all these other boxes, right? And we got close.
Yeah.
For defining last year's hunt, it's like, man, we dogged a bull. And 35 cows. And we got in there, dude.
Yeah.
Like we were in the bubble. He's smarter than us. Smart bull, right? And it's like, okay, dude, that's like we smelled elk.
I mean, that goes down as probably my top tier hunting story, right? That morning, right? Just everything that we got to experience in that moment. You can't bother. Cam, back to Cam, it's just like, and then the proof's in the pudding. Right.
100%.
Of just like you said, like going on 100 bulls or whatever that is. And, you said, well, he shows me this on social media, so I take it for it. When it's like, well, the proof's in the pudding, right? He's mid-50s now, crushing races at, awesome speeds. And it's like, oh, maybe that marathon a day was important.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you first start learning about it, you're like, this is crazy. This is badass. Who runs a marathon a day? And this is, come going in 2020 or whenever we were, thinking about starting these races, 2019 when I was gone. And it was just like, oh, okay. So he runs a marathon a day. That's crazy. This was coming from a mentality of like, people run a marathon every year or a couple years. And honestly, I didn't even know people who ran marathons, but it was like that idea was like, that's not something you'd run every single day. Right. But now we see it, 10 years later or whatever. And it's like, oh, he can go run with anybody.
Yeah.
Olympic athletes, world-class athletes, other hunters, whatever. And he's excelling at those two fields that he really put towards. And also fatherhood too, right? And I think he's a cool one to kind of look at. And we only know the outside looking in. But, him and Truett have talked about kind of like that rough childhood and where that, and eventually that switch flipped for him, and what he's accomplishing in life, kind of, I don't know, trying to one up or just be in that same room, or just he saw what that standard was.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I've tried this avenue or whatever, but now I really understand. And so it's just that daily, I don't know, grind of getting up and putting out.
Yep.
And then getting to the end of that road, or continuing that road, but getting to a place that you see on social media, or you see as that pinnacle.
Right. Yep. But he puts it out there and it proves like he's pretty undeniable.
Yeah.
I think is one of his books.
Completely undeniable. Right? Yeah. But and with that brings haters and stuff like that.
Sure.
Right. Because
if you're not,
because the commitment to go run a marathon every day is a huge fucking commitment. It's a huge commitment.
Yep. Yeah.
And then to be consistent with that. It's it's good, man. This year hunting was like I said, that was one of the most enjoyable mornings that we've ever had.
Yeah,
and
man, we were up there. We were up there 4 days, and I think we were in bulls.
Yeah.
We were in elk every day, and you go,
yep.
Wow, that's I've spoken to guys more. I've spoken to wives, and they go, my husband hasn't seen an elk in 10 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
We go, ooh, but that comes back to the standard thing. Like, what is the standard? My standard used to be just to see elk. And my standard used to be, now the standard is you have to harvest, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be playing around with that a little bit, right? At least I like to be checkmate. Like, okay, we got in there. We got in the bubble, right? But man, you look at it from...
It all started with putting up effort there.
Yep.
Like that morning culminated into this awesome experience of shitty physical, like we've put ourselves through it there.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people that wouldn't have turned up that hill in the dark, is what I always go back to.
Yeah.
And then we can Monday morning quarterback it, and like we should have never even done a quarter of this adventure that we went on, right? We could have just streamlined it over here. And that's the learning process. But I would never want to change the fact that we're going up right here. And this is, and we didn't know what that was going to turn into, still dark and everything. But by the time it was 8, 9 a.m., it was like, that was a journey. That was fun.
Yep.
That's life. Yeah.
And to, dog a bull,
Yeah.
Into their bedding and get into the bubble. I mean, had that cow at, if we're talking about the same hunt, but I had that cow at 40 yards, right? And you should have been up front because you got the better eyes. I'm a little shaky on the eyesight situation. But like you get in their zone and it's like, okay, that was pretty epic. And then you explain that to someone. And it's like, I failed. And they're like, what do you mean? You got to chase an elk,
Yeah.
And like a mature bull.
Yeah.
Right? And not so much the bulls, but the cows, because they are, they're zoned in.
Yeah.
Right. You outsmart a cow, you're doing something right. So to get within bow range of a cow elk, it's fun. So you got to take a step back and, after the season done, you go, yeah, well, we did pretty good. But in the moment, you can be so hard on yourself. And this because I'm the hardest on myself. As
the biggest critic is right here.
And then, but it comes back to that like expectation and standards. I don't have the right answer. I think everyone has to define that for themselves. But I'm going to be working on that, going forward. But I think you have to set the high bar to go, okay, this is how we perform. We show up. So, man, it's been fun. I'm excited to see kind of what we'll get you a bull. We'll get it.
Yeah, dude. We'll, and then it's for me, it's like, I'll always be hard on myself to some degree. At some point they'll learn that grace a little better, and be more consistent with that and finding that. But it, and then it always just comes down to like, well, I could do more. And so, if I ever find myself sitting in my wallows, right, and it's like, well, it, starts in March, right? And it starts before that. And it's a daily grind. And if that's, if I'm going to mentally be as hard on myself, then I have to show that in effort in the field. And, it's just like anything. It's just it's a learning game, and we're just
and I think that's the biggest thing. Like I said, I haven't harvested an archery elk since 2021, but then also when you hold the mirror up in here, it's like, well, dude, you haven't put in the work.
Yeah.
Like you haven't been shooting, you haven't been running. You actually don't deserve this at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and that can be a really tough pill to swallow. But it comes back to like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Right.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to achieve. Are you willing to put into work? Right. There's a reason these guys that are killing.
Yeah.
They're killing. Right. In whatever venture, because they're putting in the work. Right. At least the men and women that I respect, it's like, they're not taking shortcuts, to get what they want. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, dude, you actually didn't. Because I've watched the sunset on a lot of September 30th. That's the end of Colorado bow hunting. They go, you didn't put in the work this year, right? B always says the animal chooses you. Well, you didn't put in the work for him to choose you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's it, holding that mirror up and going, okay, well, if you want it, then this is what you have to do to put it in. Right.
Yeah.
In the way I like to hunt. You know me. I don't like to hunt. I like to go up top.
Yep.
We like to go.
We get the wind.
Yeah, where the wind and the oxygen's a little thinner, and the elk. It's hunting tundra sometimes. Like we're low crawling across tundra this year. It's like, why are we out? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's fun up there, and you can kill elk a lot of places. But for me, it's not so much about the killing. It's like the adventure along the way and where you get to do it.
Defining that success. And so if success is harvesting a bull or a specific bull, then that's dictated into the work that's put in. But also it could be like, okay, I need to work harder next year. That's evident. However, I'm not at ground zero. I'm not the biggest piece of shit. I did put in work that I can now expand on. And what I got out of that was this adventure. I didn't get this last, X, Y, and Z at the end of it. But A through W was so huge.
Yeah. And you learn.
And I gotta learn to love that and love myself a little bit. But now next year, now we're gonna put this piece in,
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, no matter how hard I want it, I'm not gonna be the hunter I want just next September.
Right.
But it starts with working now and getting there.
Yeah,
and then it's like getting to September, putting in that effort, and then doing it again next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and where you're at on your journey is kind of something I realized too, is like just being a better woodsman. Like, you can have all the best gear. You can go out and buy the $2,000 bow and the nice pack and the nice tent. All that is great, right? It'll make
100%
stuff better, lighter gear, less energy packing up. You're more conserved when you get up there because you have the nicest, lightest gear.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, if you don't know how to read wind or read animals, like just their body language, right? It's like when to move and how to move and where to move. That's the difference. When you see guys consistently, at least what I put together, they're consistently just better woodsmen, right?
Yeah.
And they just know they have the recipe, right?
Yeah.
Is there a shortcut to that? Yeah. You can hang out with dudes that are killers, right?
Yeah.
So you better be ready to bring it.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can invite you and you can take some, but you got to learn it yourself too. Cause that's something I'm a big gear guy, right? It's like, all right, this next bow will make me a better shot. No, dude, it won't actually. Right. And the animals don't care, right? How good your camo is or whatever you're wearing, whatever brand. It's like, if you don't have the wind, you're out. Like you can get by with stuff with eyes on an elk.
Yeah.
That's why I hunt them, because they're almost as blind as me. We got that 100-yard distance, but their nose, man. I mean, man, those bulls will circle you and come. And so you better be ready to go.
Yeah.
And then be ready to move too. Like And that gut instinct, you know, my first bull I shot, it was like, you know, Pat had called him up and I saw him at 45 and I was getting ready to, and he switched and he started to come uphill to get our wind. And so I don't even remember, like, that classic, I blacked out type of situation, but I was moving. Like he moved, I was moving. He couldn't see me, but I closed 20 yards and he stepped through at 21 and, you know, and I'd center punched him. Right.
Yep.
But just like that instinct to where I've done it before for like, oh, you had 2 seconds to make a move and you did not move. And that's what you had. You had your window and just learning, okay, now, you know, reps. You know, 2 years ago, I snuck in a mile and a half on 2 bulls fighting. I'd listened to them for 3 days and they did the exact same thing. So I was like, all right, this is my time. Bomb down, 2,000 vertical feet, got over there and got within 13 yards of them fighting, you know. And all I could think about was holding that rack.
Yeah.
And I stepped out, full draw, and bull busted me right there. Boom, gone. It's like, dude, what are you? It's like the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Is like, how'd you miss that wide open catch?
Yeah,
Because you were thinking about the touchdown.
You put all the work in there.
Right?
You did what you're supposed to do.
But these split second decisions, going back to the thread of being a better woodsman, you start to connect the puzzle pieces, right? You have an experience from last season of like, okay, I know what I'm going to do next time in this situation. Right.
Yep.
And that's what makes bow hunting so good and so hard as well.
Yeah.
Going, okay, I just worked 364 days for that one opportunity. I'll see you again next year. But that's what separates the guys that, you know, I'm going to show up next year. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a fun time. In the meantime, you get 11 months to think about it and get ramped back up, you know, to go into it. So yeah, man, I'm pumped for this season. It's going to look a little different with the kid, but we'll get out there.
Yeah.
And get after it, no doubt.
Yeah, you'll have a good little window. New baby, and then come hunting season, and give you a good little window to kind of focus on you too, and that'll be exciting. You also got a 100-miler. How many weeks after the baby?
Yeah,
is due.
Basically 2 months.
2 months.
After.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little preemptive sign up.
Yeah.
Of this, like the belt buckle got me, dude. Like, the belt buckle is so sick.
I know.
And it's funny because I scouted that one out on your 100 because it's so, you know, Joe did his first 100 and at 4 a.m. he was at mile 80 and I was like, I would do anything to trade places with that guy right now. Like I feel so shitty.
Yeah.
I feel as good as I do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to be the man in the arena.
Yep.
Right. I want to feel what he's feeling. And then when you're in that spot, like I would give anything not to feel what I'm feeling. Right.
Oh yeah.
Of like you were out. I don't know. I was already looking up 100 when you were in yours, like before I paced it because I was I want that dragon back. Right.
Yep.
And you had just helped me finish in June. You ran yours in August, right? 15.
Yeah. August. Yep.
So 2 months later and you're already from June to 2 months. And I was already like,
yeah,
I want it back. So signed up for a 100-miler in July, got a baby due, and I've been putting in, you know, trying to do 100-mile months right now, just preemptive because I know June is going to be off. I'm not going to get but just trying to get that foundation of the legs set up, you know, and just hammering out miles, doing, I biked yesterday. We'll do some lunges tomorrow, step ups.
Oh yeah.
Cody,
1,000 days sober.
Man. So
congrats, buddy.
It's
we're gonna
really
have fun
awesome.
tomorrow.
You know, and that comes back to like the tribe. Like, do I have a list a mile long to get done? I do. But we're gonna carve out some time to go support that guy because the 1,000-day journey that he's been on is in comparison to whatever is on my list to do. For like, we'll find time. Like, you know, we'll move stuff around. We'll sleep less.
And I think just with that too, it's like, and then go do something challenging. Bring some men around and like, make it worth that time. You know, not just a dinner and bullshit. And it's like, no, you know, you get to, and for Cody, it's like, now you get to show why you did those 1,000 days. You know, who are you today and what can you accomplish? And then what's the next 1,000 going to be? What's the next 1,000 going to be? Right. And, so wicked cool with that.
And
that tribe, you got to find that time and support.
And what's awesome about Cody is like, he'll admit it's not been easy and he still struggles with it, but he's still showing up. Right.
Yeah.
And he has, and struggled with stuff, but man, 1,000 days. So it's like, for me personally, like just being selfless and going, this is really important. Like, I don't know what it is to be addicted, right? Besides elk hunting, like there is an issue there, right? But you like to think that it's healthy.
Yeah.
But alcoholism or drugs, like I'm just seeing that perspective of like, this is a big deal to him, or to whoever. It's like, go support them. Yeah, I got a list that I got to get done. I feel the pressure, right? But we're going to go carve out 2 hours for this, and the trajectory of just showing up, right?
Yep.
Of how that supports him, and maybe it gets him another day or 1,000 days or 10 years, right? It's part of that tribe of like, I know this guy would show up for me, whoever.
Yeah.
X. But you got to be the guy that gets to sit at the table, man. And it's showing up for those. It's not, hey, I'm glad you invited me to a barbecue, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Those aren't the calls I want. I want the calls of like, hey, dude, I'm going to do a 100-miler. You in to help me?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, yeah, and just helping with that journey of it, that personally for me means to be that guy that can step up. Like I said earlier, being able, because I told you like, hey, dude, I don't need a pacer. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, jackass, don't rob him of that opportunity to pace you for that. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I don't want you to be away from your kids or be a burden on you for time. And it's like, dude, like have that lens on it maybe, but also let him make that decision if he doesn't want to. Like if he says he wants to be there, damn well he wants to be there. And also you're a pussy and take the help. So, yeah.
Well, and you know, that speaking of your last 100-miler, and it was, that's a fun little dynamic, right? Because on my side, it's like, he wants to do this without a pacer.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's like, okay, that's awesome. Like, not that I don't think you can't, or, nothing like that. Like, it's going to be a challenge. And I'm confident that you'll get through that challenge on your own. But I don't want you to make that decision because you don't want to burden me. Right. Exactly. Right. But with that, it's like, I gotta be, as your friend, like, all right, you're going to do this without a pacer. You're going to want to do this without crew, and then as we got closer, things changed a little bit. And, I'm glad I showed up at 1 a.m. or whatever it was. And, and it, ultimately, like, I wasn't not going to be there. Right. For some of it, whether I was running with you or not. And, as we kind of wrap this up, that the last couple years and mostly just running the ultras, it's like, that beauty of finding those friends and those dudes who are going to be there. Cause you got a lot of friends that'll show up in moments, and, we talked about it on the podcast. It's harder to get people to come and move you, for a box of pizza and a case of beer these days, right? It's like, hey, we're all adults, get a moving company. I'll help you drive some vehicles and stuff like that, but I can't give you 2 solid days. I can if we need to, but we can kind of, but it's like the ability to call someone up and get someone to come run 30 miles with you, 20 plus miles with you. There's just not a lot of people in that Rolodex.
Right.
And there's only a couple people that,
I don't know if there should be a lot of people in that Rolodex. You know what I mean?
It's
like, you need a few fucking pipe hitters in
Yeah.
your circle, right? Our sphere, we have a lot of, pipe hitters that will call them, like people that will show up. But yeah, exactly. Like
we got 3 people in our world.
Yep.
Maybe a couple more, but it's like,
and then are you ready to answer that bell as well? Like if you like, okay, now he did it for me, I'm going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Right. And sacrifice and explaining why to the home front of like, hey, I know you don't understand this. And I know you think it's just running. It's deeper than that.
Yep.
And now my wife and your wife know we're, we are who we are. And
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll let them go do their thing. Right.
Yeah.
And they support that. But man, it goes deeper than that, right?
Yeah.
And it really just goes, I know I can count on this guy, you know. And then it goes, okay, what else are we going to go do? We're going to go do business.
Yeah.
We're going to do hunting.
Yeah.
What else is that endurance race of life that I know this motherfucker is going to be there with it?
Yeah.
So,
It's all endurance,
yeah.
mentally, physically.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you sometimes getting me into that world. Like I said, it was kind of riding your coattails into
It took
that.
me a while to
Yeah.
you know, do 100, and who knows where this goes for us right now. You know, I think we have similar mentalities of like 100 miles is a great distance for achieving what we want.
Mhm.
And we probably got a few more in us to really feel like we're a part of that. But just like with any journey, who knows where that takes us and what that next thing will be. But that 100 was like a real monkey on my back of like,
Mhm.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, like not taking that first step of commitment of like, I want this. You know, and it was like something where I brought you guys, you know, I'm like, brought you guys into this world basically. It started with you, and then we pulled Joe in and pulled people in and pulled people in. And you know, so it was like I had this pressure, but it was like it wasn't necessary. And it's like, oh, I just needed to take that first step.
Yeah.
And then it just took that one with you, right? And something about that day we spent together, and it was like I couldn't leave that mountain. Like I have to get this.
Right.
I need this feeling.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that first 6 hour, like, you know, the most I'd done is like a half marathon before that.
Yeah.
And just like seeing the watch, I remember it was like 14 miles. I was like, I guess we're going to fucking fuck around and find out. Cause I don't know. I still have 3 hours to run.
Yeah.
Like how far can we go? And we got like 22 or 25. It's
Yeah,
like,
I think like 23 and 21.
yeah, that first time. And now we can go out now, 6 years later, and we could put running shoes on now. We have enough reps in that space to where we can go run 23 miles and not think twice about it, really. Yeah, it's going to hurt. But we have the tools mentally to go, okay, let's go. Let's just knock this out. And then we're going to go back to work. Right. Yeah. To where I remember we were like limping down the stairs at your house in the Springs. I was like, you know, after my first 100, I was on crutches for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Because I failed to prepare my ankles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but now after my second one, it was like, now we're just back to work and we're walking fine. Yeah, we're stiff and it hurts, but you just build up that foundation physically. But the most important is like mentally, right?
Yeah.
You go, okay, that's what it's going to take, right? But you don't like it, just expanding that threshold.
It's a muscle like anything else.
Yeah.
Like your mental toughness, you're building it and making it stronger, or you're not.
Yeah. And
I don't know if it's decaying or not, but you're not. You can grow it just like a bicep, I think, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the analogy I love the most is like it's from Band of Brothers, you know, Major Dick Winters, and then Colonel Hackworth has the same thing. Those are all threads from Jocko, but like everyone has a cup, right? And they compare it to like combat fatigue or stress in the corporate world, right?
Yeah.
But everyone has a cup. It's different sizes, but once that cup's filled, you don't put any more into it, right?
Yeah.
And if you do, you're going to have bad results or, you know, burnout, right?
Yep.
So it's like those things help you build your cup. So some people have a little shot glass, and then some people lay down a big fucking stein on the
big gulp,
and they go, okay,
yeah,
what are we doing? And pour it in. And it's like those things from even in 6 years, going from a 6 hour race, I never would have fathomed we could run 100 miles.
Never.
And that's a stretch because we do a lot of walking. Right?
Yeah. But
we'd be stepping that thing out. But you cover 100 miles on your feet, right?
Yeah.
But that's how you just grow your cup. And unfortunately, like I said before, I don't know the recipe. You just have to do it. You have to toe that starting line, you know. The encouraging part is like the greats out there, like Courtney Dowwater, you know, respect her in the ultra world. She DNF'd her first 100.
Yep.
You go, oh, okay. You can still quit and come back and still be world elite in this. You know, she's beaten men at Moab 240 by 10 hours.
Yeah.
You go, oh, you DNF'd your first one. So there's hope. Or, you know, like on Jocko's podcast, or some of the guys, like, they drop out of SEAL training, and then they come back and they accomplish it. It's like, it's okay to retreat and then come back, but stay, like, just don't surrender, right? You don't quit.
You don't quit.
You don't quit. And you can retreat and regroup and recalibrate with whatever you're endeavoring. So
your quote unquote failure is necessary for that.
Yeah,
It's
as long as you
just
learn.
necessary.
Learn from it.
Yeah.
Right? But God damn it, don't quit. It's like Dan Gable has a pretty good quote about that. I can't recite it off the top of my head, but he's a legend. But he has that, like, no quit attitude, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a dude that went through the Olympics and never gave up a point
Yeah.
in wrestling.
Yeah.
So,
Definition of not quitting.
yeah, man. No, I appreciate you having me in.
Yeah. Thank you, dude.
Been a fun conversation. Hopefully we didn't ramble too much, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we'll have to get B in here sometime, because he's been a big mentor in my life. All the trainers have, really, like, taken me from boyhood to manhood, of, like, what that means to be a man. The foundation was built there of having, just, like, being from a really good community, and a strong family, and having really good friends, and riding the coattails of my sister Jenny and Austin, that moved out here and kind of paved the way. And man, they've just been such a big support, and going, like, okay, this is what we do, and then I can take it to the next level too, right?
Yep.
But yeah, just I wouldn't be anywhere without all those people over the last 30 some years in my life, but mainly in Colorado. But it started in Iowa and just built on it.
Yep.
But just trying to hold the line out here with you all, like some Southern Colorado boys that kind of share the same mentality that I do. I always tell people, like, I don't know any different. That's just how we operate. But it's a unique thing
Yes.
in the world, apparently, of just having a tribe or that mentality. I guess it can be a little different, but this is just how we operate. Like,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
So
It's
man.
unique, dude, and you're a big piece of that, being unique, and keeping us holding the line, and keeping that standard, and continuing to grow, and keep pushing for some more. So couldn't be happier to have you as a brother with that tribe, dude. And so yeah, dude, I think that's pretty good for today.
yeah.
So appreciate your time, man. Back to work now.
Yep.
Finish up a Friday. And we appreciate everybody listening. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Ooh.